To really understand why the Sword Saint is so intense, we have to look at his tragic past. Before he became the top hunter in the tower, Marcus was a man who lived for justice and strength. But his biggest regret is that he wasn't there when it mattered most. While he was away focusing on his duties, a heartless villain targeted his family. Marcus lost his children to a senseless act of violence that he couldn't stop. This tragedy became his deepest trauma. Because he felt like he failed to protect his own blood, he developed an obsession with finding and stopping evil before it could ever strike again. This is likely the reason he developed his famous skill, the eyes of truth. He never wanted to be fooled by a liar or a murderer ever again. To him, the world is divided into the innocent and the guilty, and he has made it his life's mission to ensure that no monster ever escapes his sight. This painful history is exactly why he reacts with such pure rage when he thinks he's standing in front of a killer. Kim survives the Sword Saint's attack by pure luck. Not skill, not experience, not talent, just luck. The Sword Saint actually pauses for a moment, clearly surprised, because in his eyes, Kim just dodged a lethal strike. Naturally, he assumes Kim is some kind of hidden expert and instantly jumps back, expecting a counterattack. But instead of striking back, Kim rolls around on the ground. Not tactically, not stylishly, just desperately trying not to get sliced. Kim hurriedly tries to explain that he's just an F-class hunter, but the Sword Saint hears none of it. To him, dodging that strike is proof enough. The misunderstanding only gets worse, and Kim realizes something terrifying. He cannot even see the sword properly when it moves. If the Sword Saint attacks again, Kim has absolutely no chance, so Kim gives up on explaining. He accepts what's about to happen, but just then, something strange occurs. The Sword Saint suddenly stops, not because he's listening to Kim, but because he's talking to empty air. He mutters, commands, argues, and responds as if someone else is there. Kim quickly realizes this isn't madness. This is likely a communication skill, long-distance transmission, and that makes the situation even worse, because it means the Sword Saint is probably reporting Kim as a dangerous criminal. Kim understands immediately. If this continues, he won't just die once. He'll be hunted forever. So he makes a decision. If he's going to die, it has to be now, to reset the day. Knowing the Sword Saint's reputation, Kim deliberately brings up his family. The reaction is instant, so fast that Kim doesn't even see the attack. The world flips, the sky rotates, and only then does Kim realize what happened. His head has already fallen. A single strike. Perfect. Instead of fear, Kim feels something unexpected. There's no hatred this time, only desire. The desire to become like that, to reach that level. And in the darkness that follows, system messages appear, stating that conditions have been met and that skills are being copied. Cards appear, but something is wrong. There are no golden cards, only blue and silver. That's when Kim realizes the truth. The Sword Saint reached the top of the world without a single S-rank skill, which shocks him completely. Relying on luck once again, Kim grabs a silver card and wakes up. Back in his tiny room, he immediately checks his status and sees a new A+ rank passive skill called Sword Constellation. He feels relieved and disappointed. Once again, it's not a direct combat skill. But then, a voice complains, not loudly, not dramatically, just annoyed, like someone who was trying to sleep. The voice tells someone to stop making noise in the middle of the night and to be more considerate. Kim freezes, slowly turns his head, and sees a large, blurry figure lying comfortably in his already cramped room. Instant goosebumps. Kim carefully asks who it is. The figure turns around. Now they're both staring at each other. Kim is thinking, why is there a ghost in my room? The ghost is thinking, why can this kid see me? The ghost asks if Kim can really see him. Kim nods. Then the ghost asks if Kim can hear him too. Kim replies that if they're having a conversation right now, then yes, obviously. At this point, Kim realizes he is calmly chatting with a ghost. But the ghost isn't scary. He's confused. He looks around, complains about how small the room is, calls it a doghouse, and asks where the old man Marcus went. That's when Kim asks if Marcus means Marcus Callenberry, the Sword Saint. The ghost immediately clicks his tongue, and looks offended. Calling Marcus a sword saint, according to him, is an exaggeration. He straight up calls him a beginner. Kim's brain shuts down. The strongest hunter in the world. A beginner. The ghost keeps talking casually, asking why Marcus isn't here, and why some random kid is instead. Kim finally checks the skill description, and everything makes sense. Sword Constellation doesn't grant sword techniques. It doesn't boost stats. It gives Kim a ghost, a veteran warrior from another world, someone who cleared the 99th floor, someone who failed the 100th floor, died, and refused to disappear. A being only Kim can see and hear. Meanwhile, the ghost keeps complaining about being ignored, muttering about warriors these days being mediocre, and casually floating around Kim's room like this is completely normal. That's when Kim realizes it. He didn't just gain power. He gained a teacher, a world-class swordmaster, as a ghost, living in his room. It starts with the ghost absolutely losing his mind. The room is tiny, barely enough for one person to live in, and now Kim has a loud, floating, 3-meter-tall ghost complaining nonstop. The ghost keeps demanding to be returned to the Sword Saint, shouting about refunds, cancellations, and how unfair it is that there's no way to undo being copied. Kim, already exhausted, yells back that he literally cannot send him back, even if he wanted to. That only makes the ghost louder. The ghost starts yelling toward the ceiling, calling out to Old Man Marcus, accusing Kim of kidnapping his master, and dramatically claiming that his teacher has been stolen by a child. He spins around the room, blaming Kim for everything and lecturing him about respecting one's master like the heavens. Kim has officially lost all fear of ghosts. At this point, he just wants peace. He asks the ghost to live quietly. The ghost responds by pointing out that he's already dead. Kim tells him to at least be dead quietly. That completely sets the ghost off. He shouts that he's not some dog, starts calling Kim disrespectful, and loudly declares that there's nothing he's afraid to say anymore. Kim can only stare in disbelief. This explains everything. The Sword Saint's constant muttering at the bar, the repeated phrases about noise, the complaints to invisible listeners. He wasn't insane. He was arguing with this ghost the entire time. Realizing this, Kim feels his future darken instantly. If this ghost follows him everywhere, then avoiding the Sword Saint forever becomes mandatory. The ghost, however, doesn't understand why Kim wants to avoid Marcus at all. In his eyes, Marcus is still a good disciple, just one with a dangerous temper, especially when it comes to family. Kim sighs and confirms that he already learned that lesson the hard way. The conversation turns serious when Kim brings up the skill that shows kill counts. The ghost immediately recognizes it and dismisses it as a low-quality ability meant only for identifying assassins. Then, Kim calmly states the number, 4091. The ghost freezes. He stares at Kim in disbelief. A complete beginner, an F-class hunter, and a kill count higher than what the ghost himself achieved while conquering 99 floors. The ghost cannot understand it. Kim explains, slowly, clearly, that the only person he truly ended was the man who would become the Flame Emperor, that he copied a regression skill through death, that revenge required going back more than 4,000 days, and that each return required dying again, over 4,000 times. The ghost goes silent. For the first time, he doesn't shout. He doesn't complain. He just stares at Kim with an expression that shifts from disbelief to something deeper. After a long pause, he asks Kim's name. Then, he asks a more important question. Why Kim chose Marcus? Kim answers honestly, because Marcus is the strongest hunter of this era. The ghost asks if that means Kim just wanted to grow stronger faster. Kim confirms it. Silence falls again. The ghost begins circling Kim, examining him carefully, muttering observations under his breath. Physique, mindset, sanity, growth potential. Kim feels like he's being inspected like a strange artifact. Then the ghost suddenly asks him to show him how he hunts monsters. At dawn, Kim goes out and fights as usual. Nothing special, nothing flashy. After watching, the ghost nods. His expectations are confirmed. He finally introduces himself properly. In his past life, he was known as the Sword Emperor, not from this world, from another one, A world where the tower appeared, just like here. He conquered floors faster than anyone else, reached the 99th floor, and failed at the 100th. That failure turned him into what he is now, a ghost. Listening to this, Kim finally understands just how absurd this situation is. The Flame Emperor was praised for reaching the 40th floor. This ghost reached 99. The Sword Emperor explains that he can tell talent instantly. That's why he watched Kim hunt. Kim assumes this means sword talent. He laughs bitterly and shuts that idea down himself. He admits he has no combat talent, no coordination, no natural skill. That if he had talent, he wouldn't still be F-Class. The Sword Emperor frowns, then tells Kim he's wrong. Kim is talented, not in swordsmanship, but in something far rarer. Kim is not afraid of death, not even a little. After dying thousands of times, fear has completely vanished from him. When others hesitate, Kim moves. When others retreat, Kim advances. He faces monsters recklessly, because death has lost its meaning. That is his talent. The hardest talent to acquire. Kim is stunned. No one has ever praised him like this before. Finally, the Sword Emperor asks one last question. When Marcus killed him, what did Kim feel? Kim remembers the night sky, the moon, the silence, and answers honestly. He thought it was beautiful. The Sword Emperor bursts into laughter. He declares that Kim doesn't steal skills, he copies them, that Marcus and Kim are now connected, and that he's curious to see which of them will become the greater hunter. Then he makes a declaration. He will help Kim. Help him surpass Marcus. Help him conquer the tower. The Sword Emperor reaches out his hand, and in that moment, Kim gains more than a skill. He gains a partner, and the beginning of something far more dangerous than revenge. Kim wakes up to the worst alarm imaginable. Not a phone, not work stress, but a loud ghost floating around his room, screaming at him to wake up. The Sword Emperor ghost has decided that 4 in the morning is the perfect time to train, because according to him, even worms wake up at this hour. And Kim is apparently weaker than a worm. Kim checks his phone and immediately loses his temper. It's barely past 4 a.m., and the ghost is already acting like a drill sergeant. The ghost casually admits he woke Kim up because he was bored, and then demands gratitude for the opportunity to train. Kim threatens violence, which the ghost finds hilarious since he's already dead, and mocks Kim by calling him a zombie who can't even die properly anymore. Realizing his mental health is at risk, Kim gives up arguing and escapes his apartment just to get some peace. He goes out jogging under the dark sky, hoping the exercise will help, but the ghost simply floats beside him, continuing the verbal abuse. The Sword Emperor bluntly tells Kim that aside from sheer willpower, he has absolutely no talent, then somehow compliments him by calling his lack of talent abyss level, like it's something impressive. This has now been going on for 3 days. During that time, Kim already dealt with Yu Suha again, and made sure to avoid the Sword Saint completely. Now he's following a brutal training schedule personally designed by the ghost. The conclusion of that schedule is simple. Kim needs money. A lot of money. And the ghost already knows exactly how to get it. That's when the story shifts to the Sangreon Guild, also known as the Merchants Union, the most powerful economic force in the tower. Their leader, known as Count, is the only person capable of trading with the outside world, which effectively gives the guild control over money inside the tower. Kim walks straight into their Babylon branch and calmly announces that he's here to collect lottery winnings. The clerk is shocked. Even more shocked when Kim says he won first place. 53,000 gold. An absurd amount of money. As the hall goes silent, the ghost casually comments on how easy money is to make when you can rewind time. The clerk panics slightly and calls for a superior, while everyone nearby starts whispering. Kim isn't worried. He knows that lottery winners are publicly recorded anyway. Hiding wouldn't help. If anything, being open makes it harder for shady people to act without consequences. Soon, a well-dressed man named Arthur Taylor appears, introducing himself as the Vault Keeper. Despite clearly being a high-ranking hunter, he treats Kim with extreme politeness. He also, unfortunately, wears cat ears, which immediately triggers the ghost into insulting the Sangreon Guildmaster's taste. Kim ignores the ghost and follows the Vault Keeper to a private room where the gold is already prepared. The sight is overwhelming. over 50,000 gold coins shining under the light. The vault keeper offers Kim a choice. Take everything now, or store it safely in a deposit box. Kim doesn't hesitate. He chooses the vault. Money is a tool, not a goal. Then, Kim makes another move that surprises even the vault keeper. He asks to purchase honorary membership in the Sangreon Guild, which costs 10,000 gold, paid up front. This is a calculated decision. In the tower, law barely exists. Protection matters more than strength, especially early on. Kim has already seen what happens to lone hunters with too much money. He refuses to repeat the Flame Emperor's mistake of standing alone. The Vault Keeper, now clearly impressed and slightly cautious, agrees and begins processing the request. Kim adds 2 more conditions. First, he wants Sangreon to recommend him a safer place to live. Second, when the lottery win is announced publicly, his honorary guild status must be mentioned alongside his name. This way, anyone thinking of targeting him will think twice. Behind the scenes, the ghost is laughing non-stop, mocking the Vault Keeper and praising Kim for actually thinking ahead. For once, the ghost admits Kim is doing well on his own. Kim might complain, but deep down, he's satisfied. This is where his real life begins. The Flame Emperor never used regression properly, but Kim will. With money secured, protection established, and a deranged Sword Emperor ghost as his mentor, Kim finally stands at the starting line. 4,000 deaths weren't the end. They were preparation. And now, his solo run truly begins. The Sword Emperor ghost asking a serious question about tutoring. What matters most when receiving proper training? Kim immediately says he would prefer not to be called zombie anymore, only for the ghost to bluntly answer that the most important thing is the tutoring fee. They have just finished their business with the Sangreon Guild and step back into the busy streets of Babylon, where retired hunters run cafes and restaurants, while abandoned shops sit quietly with owners staring into nothing. A clear reminder that Babylon is cruel and unforgiving, a place where some people succeed, and others are simply left behind. The ghost reminds Kim that he already secured the tutoring fee through the lottery, and now they need to decide what comes next. Kim suggests finding a good tutor, but the ghost shamelessly points at himself and declares that Kim doesn't need another teacher. What he really needs is a proper textbook to grow faster. Skill tomes are useless because Kim wouldn't understand them anyway, leaving only one real option: elixirs. Not cheap elixirs either, but absurdly expensive ones made by top-tier alchemists from the Alchemy Castle. The ghost casually mentions a shop that Marcus, the Sword Saint, used to visit, which immediately makes Kim nervous. When the ghost whispers the price, Kim nearly collapses, realizing that even with his lottery winnings, he could barely afford 4 bottles, maybe 5 with a discount, meaning he's about to become poor again, despite winning big. Then suddenly, the ghost's tone changes, and he urgently tells Kim to hide. Without hesitation, Kim dives behind a trash can, instantly regretting it because of the smell, as the ghost explains why. The Sword Saint is nearby. Kim carefully peeks out and sees the white-haired old man walking down the street, muttering to himself like always, and both of them stay completely silent until he disappears into a building. The ghost clicks his tongue in frustration, because that building happens to be the best elixir shop in Babylon, which means they can't use it. Kim starts thinking and realizes that if using the same shop as the Sword Saint is dangerous, but they still need top-quality elixirs, the answer must lie elsewhere. He pulls out his phone and checks the rankings of top hunters, and as he scrolls, something becomes clear. The pharmacist he's thinking of isn't on the list yet, which means it won't cost nearly as much. Kim grins and tells the ghost they only need to spend a small amount to get the best elixirs, though the ghost doesn't believe him at all. Kim confidently leads them into a dark, poor neighborhood, where hunters stare with predatory eyes, and the atmosphere feels dangerous and lawless, causing the ghost to complain that no skilled pharmacist would live in a place like this. Kim insists he's telling the truth. This isn't just any pharmacist. This is the best pharmacist in history. As they move deeper into the alley, they hear shouting and discover gangsters looting a small shop, violently taking equipment, while a young woman desperately begs them to stop. She pleads for time, saying she needs her tools to survive, but the gangsters don't care, reminding her that her debt is overdue, before leaving with her equipment, and mocking her for ever trying to make medicine again. When they leave, the woman collapses in despair, as bystanders whisper cruelly mocking her prices, calling her delusional, and saying she deserved to fail. She tries to argue that her medicine is fairly priced and unmatched in quality, but no one listens and the crowd disperses, leaving her alone on the ground, begging anyone to buy her potions. The ghost looks at Kim and asks if this miserable woman is the so-called historical pharmacist, and Kim calmly confirms it, prompting the ghost to declare that Kim has lost his mind and needs therapy. Ignoring him, Kim approaches the woman and sees how exhausted and broken she looks up close. Unkempt hair, oversized clothes, cracked glasses, yet the white coat clearly marks her as a pharmacist. Kim politely asks if she's still selling, and at first she's shocked, then hopeful, and the moment Kim says he wants to place an order, color returns to her face as she nervously asks how expensive it will be. Kim answers calmly, 20,000 gold, causing her to freeze in disbelief. This woman, who looks like she's about to vanish from history, is actually the future Lord of the Alchemy Castle, a pharmacist who will later rise to rank 5 and become someone Kim wouldn't even dare approach, but right now she's desperate. And Kim smiles as he tells her to take the order, becoming the most terrifying kind of customer she could ever have, a loyal one.